compliance. My name is Jared Morgan, and I'll be guiding you through today's session. Before we dive in, a few quick housekeeping items. First, the webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a copy afterward. Two, today's presentation is eligible for continuing education in credit through Earmark. I will go over how to get your CE credit at the end of this presentation. And third, we will be together for around 45 minutes today, and we will have time for a question and answer at the end. Let's get started. Harper Compliance is a nationwide provider of a registered agent, business registration, licensing service, and software. We also provide extensive nonprofit formation and fundraising compliance through our nonprofit organization called Labyrinth. Compliance is not just a box to check. It is a fundamental requirement. Organizations must follow state and federal regulations to operate. The real challenge is deciding how to meet these requirements in the most effective way. Here's what we'll be covering today. First, we will explore the regulatory landscape and its complexities. Next, we will discuss the interconnected nature of compliance and the trends that are driving change. And finally, we will share why outsourcing compliance can free up resources and support your company's growth. Let's dive into the compliance landscape. Compliance is a non-negotiable, and organizations must follow laws and regulations or risk penalties, losing their right to operate and harming their reputation. Effective compliance hinges on mastering four key areas. That is entity registration, record keeping, licensing, and tax obligations. Compliance requirements are rarely isolated. For instance, registering for taxes in a new state may trigger the need to register your legal entity there as well. Similarly, applying for licenses often requires proof of existing compliance. A disconnected approach increases inefficiencies and risks, underscoring the importance of integrating compliance management. These are a few recent updates. One is in New Mexico and the other is in Vermont. I'm going to put on the screen here a brief poll question to know where your updates are coming from and these kind of changes. So the question is stating, where do you get updates on these kind of changes? See, a few came in right away with the attorney, accountants, peers, Google alerts. Getting all different kinds of answers. That's great to hear. A little bit of every answer there. Next, let's discuss the major macroeconomic trends that are driving regulatory complexity. While higher interest rates have slowed borrowing for some, M&A remains a dominant growth strategy in many sectors, and compliance plays a critical role in this process. Organizations in good standing have a significant advantage. They can acquire or be acquired without any delays or complications. But compliance considerations do not stop there. Post-deal steps like deciding which entities will survive, winding down subsumed entities, and managing licenses and tax registrations are crucial for a smooth transition and long-term success. The shift to remote work has expanded the regulatory footprint of many organizations. While some companies are encouraging a return to the office, Remote work arrangements are here to stay for many. As employees work from more states, businesses must register to operate in these locations. They must manage taxes and also ensure proper licensing. I'm going to put up another poll here on how many of you have direct experience with this. So how are you managing your registrations and licenses across multiple states? A few managing themselves, a few accountants, attorneys, team members, seeing a lot of spreadsheets. Excellent. Seeing the same thing, a little bit of everything on this one. Everybody handles compliance differently. The South Dakota versus Wafer Inc. decision was a game changer for sales tax obligations. While it may not have received as much attention as it might have under normal circumstances, given its timing shortly before COVID-19 pandemic, its impact has been profound. That said, ignorance of this decision isn't a defense, and enforcement is real. Businesses now face obligations in states where they may have no physical presence. This is requiring a proactive attention to avoid all penalties. Let's do a quick check here. How would you describe your sales tax registration status? Are you fully registered everywhere you need to be? Are you still figuring things out or not really sure where to start? Let's just drop answers in the chat here. We'd love to hear where you're at with this. So the question is, how would you describe your sales tax registration status? See some different answers there. Let's move on. On average, government red tape only increases over time. Another key trend is increasing proliferation of regulatory reporting requirements. A prime example is the new BOI reporting requirements brought about by the Corporate Transparency Act that took effect last year. These regulations mandate significant ownership details to enhance transparency and accountability. This adds another layer of complexity to an already challenging landscape, reinforcing the need for a proactive management. As of March 21st, 2025, FinCEN has finally announced the interim final rule of that domestic reporting companies, otherwise known as businesses formed in the US, are no longer required to file the BOI reports. For now, only foreign reporting companies are required to file, but FinCEN continues to emphasize the importance of BOI reporting. We do have a blog on this if you'd like to check out our latest one to learn more. If you were following this one closely, it was a long journey. With the rise of remote work, expanded sales tax obligations, and consolidation activity, it's clear that nearly every organization operates across state lines today. Managing regulatory complexity has become a universal challenge that requires a strategic approach. It also means fewer and fewer businesses are able to achieve and maintain comprehensive compliance, meaning those that do are truly differentiated versus the competition. I'm going to drop one last poll here about how you are managing this. How are you managing the out-of-state compliance? So what's your status with relation to registering out of state? See a few answers where they'll need to register within the next couple of months. And with this, states often change their requirements and their filing fees. So keeping updated with using a spreadsheet or some other methods tend to be challenging. It's great to see we have basically every company here is planning to either register out of state or have done it in the past. Next up is the drawbacks of taking a do-it-yourself approach. Let's admit it, managing government paperwork is not exactly a passion project for most people. But here's the thing, at Harbor Compliance, we love it. Yes, we're those compliance nerds who get excited about filing deadlines and regulatory nuances, and we embrace it wholeheartedly. We know it's not for everyone, and that's okay. We're here to help everyone that can't stand the thought of doing another filing. Too often, this stuff falls on a plate of an overworked admin or a team member who already has a full time job. It can be more and a little thankless and a lot of tedious. But here's the good news, we are on your side. We're ready to partner with you to lighten the load and make the process more manageable. Dare we say, even enjoyable. We will handle the details so your team can get back to work that they actually care about. Accountants and attorneys are rock stars in their fields, whether it's navigating complex tax strategies or providing invaluable legal counsel. But let's face it, multi-state compliance, that's not exactly their idea of a good time. They'll probably thank you for sparing them the headache of keeping up with regulatory technicalities and letting them focus on what they excel at. And for accountants or attorneys joining us on today's webinar, first, thanks for being here. If you've ever dreamed of offloading those regulatory tasks to someone you trust, we would love to chat with you. We specialize in the nitty gritty, so you can stick to what you know best and enjoy the process a whole lot more. Procrastinating on compliance may not seem like a big deal until you are in the middle of a fire drill. These last minute scrambles often occur at the worst times, like right before a major bid or an expansion opportunity. And if something slips through the cracks, the consequences can be severe. Falling out of good standing or facing licensing issues can disrupt operations entirely with costly delays. But it's not just the business at risk here. These crises take a toll on your team. The stress of constant firefighting, especially for employees who already wear too many hats, leads to burnout, frustration, and inefficiency. Proactive compliance management isn't just about avoiding business risks, it's about fostering a healthier, more sustainable work environment for your entire team. Let's talk about the strategic partnership advantages. Harbor Compliance delivers unmatched expertise in multi-state compliance, from purpose-built technology to extensive requirements, data, and proven multi-state expertise. We ensure your compliance needs are handled seamlessly. Through our strategic partnerships with accountants and attorneys, we provide a comprehensive strategy for your organization. By partnering with compliance experts, your organization can avoid last-minute crises and maintain smooth operations and ensure uninterrupted growth. Imagine being able to hire that perfect candidate in a state without hesitation. Confidently bid on projects across jurisdictions, knowing you meet all of the requirements, and expand your product offerings to new markets without the fear of tax complications. A strategic approach to compliance is not just about avoiding penalties. It's about creating a stable foundation that empowers your business to say yes to opportunities the moment they arise. When compliance is handled proactively, you are free to focus on what matters most, and that is growing your business. Let's take a look at a routine process for multi-state business, hiring an employee in a new jurisdiction for the very first time. Hiring a new employee might sound straightforward, but ensuring that they can be paid requires opening payroll tax accounts in their jurisdiction. This process often lands on HR, but it's really a tax compliance task. HR teams find themselves in the middle, coordinating with payroll providers, accounting and finance, and sometimes external accounting firms. Relying on compliance partner like Harbor Compliance with the experience opening payroll tax accounts in every state can make this process far smoother. Firsthand knowledge of the process allows them to navigate jurisdiction-specific requirements, minimize delays, and significantly reduce the risk of mistakes. The right partner will handle the heavy lifting, so all your team needs to do is provide the new account numbers to your payroll provider. With a proactive compliance management approach, you can eliminate confusion, streamline this process, and reduce friction, keeping the hiring process moving smoothly. Quick question you can just drop in the chat. Have you set up payroll in a new jurisdiction for the first time in the past 12 months? You can just drop a quick yes or no if you've done this in the past 12 months. We'd love to see where everyone stands on this. Few people have. Payroll tax registration doesn't exist in isolation. It often requires foreign qualification, which means registering your business with the new state's Secretary of State. This process allows your business to legally operate in another state. It involves appointing a registered agent to handle official communications and compliance documentation in that new state. Using a nationwide registered agent provider like Harbor Compliance simplifies this process significantly. We can serve as your registered agent across all states and handle entity filings seamlessly. While routine, foreign qualification can still add complexity and ongoing obligations like annual report filings, which we can also offload for you. Since we have experience with these processes in every single state, it allows you to take a proactive approach and anticipate these needs upfront. This helps you avoid scrambling between HR, accounting, and legal teams and ensures requirements are met without disrupting your business. Next up is licensing. When foreign qualification is completed, businesses often discover that obtaining licenses is the next hurdle. Whether you're in a regulated industry or not, many states require general business licenses for all entities. Legal teams, sometimes with help from outside counsel, are typically involved in this process, but it is another layer of complexity. With a proactive compliance partner like Harbor Compliance that can help you see these challenges coming, you can integrate licensing into your workflow, saving time and reducing you stress. Lastly, records. Finally, once tax accounts, entity registration, and licenses are sorted, corporate records must be updated. This step often requires legal and executive involvement, as they are the teams typically responsible for managing organizational records. You might be wondering how hiring an employee could trigger updates to your corporate records. Under the Corporate Transparency Act, businesses must keep their corporate details up to date with FinCEN through BOI reporting. If a business foreign qualifies in a new state and their name is unavailable, they may need to use a forced assumed name. While this doesn't happen every time, such naming changes can require an updated BOI report. Failing to report these changes promptly can result in costly penalties. In summary, even basic operations like hiring an employee in a new jurisdiction can quickly snowball and require inputs from across the business. By partnering with the right compliance vendor that can assist you across entity, records, licensing, and tax, you can stay ahead of these requirements, reduce stress, and avoid any last-minute surprises. Now we'd like to open the floor for your questions. Please use the Q&A feature to share any questions, and we will address as many as time permits. If you'd like to learn more about how we can work together or support your organization, please get in touch with us. And as I mentioned at the start of this presentation, today's session is eligible for continuing education credit through Earmark. You can use the QR code on your screen now to download the Earmark app. And after the session concludes, we will also email out a 5-question quiz. Once you complete the quiz, you will receive your CPE certificate. To take the next step in streamlining your compliance process, consider scheduling a consultation or taking advantage of our free assessments. Our team is here to help you succeed. If you had any questions in the Q&A, we will be reaching out via email. Okay, well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.